Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Okay, we're finally here. I'm going to start the retinol series. It's going to be a never-ending series, and I'll tell you for why. The more we... Okay, let me start. I said I should do an overview of retinol. That's how it started. God help me, how little I knew. We collated the products I had here. I'm already arms crossed, like let's do it. We collated the products we had here. I called in some favourites that I knew people would want me to know about. And then when I emailed PRs the questionnaire, and I'll tell you exactly the questionnaire I sent them, they then said, are you interested in this retinol that came from XYZ? So then we started getting more. We're nearly at 50 products. We're probably over 50 counting all the prescription stuff. I haven't even brought to the office yet because I'll do that at the end. There are some housekeeping I would like to share with you beforehand. First of all, thank you to all the brands, and I'm going to say this at the beginning of every video, because they didn't have to answer my questions. They could have said, no one gives a shit what you have to say, woman. No. I think we had a response from everyone. We're still waiting on one, but to be honest, it's not one that you're going to be that fussed about, and if they don't send it, it's no big loss. I say that with love. The reason it took me so long, 3 of us in the office were, you'll do this a lot. Imagine me doing this a lot. We would get something in, so here we go. Here's the questions. Let me just start. We sent a questionnaire and it said, what form of vitamin A are you using? How is it stabilized, buffered? Because some people say we buffer it with this, some people say it's stabilized. So we kind of gave them the scope to elaborate. What's the delivery system? Any special application recommendations? Do you have any clinical trials to support the product's ingredients? I shouldn't have said ingredients. I'll tell you for why. How often would you recommend someone use it? And this is really because generally with a vitamin A product, you know what you're dealing with and how to use it for the most part. It was just if people had any specific recommendations. Is there anything you would like me to highlight, point out if at all possible? That was the original questionnaire. It very quickly became clear that I should have asked them, what's the percentage? So I went back and I said, thank you so much for filling this out. Would you mind telling us the percentage? That's when it got interesting. Now, back to the housekeeping side. There will be things I say in this video that won't be relevant in 12 months' time because of the way the industry turns, the way science goes, that's the thing. I will try and keep them updated. And as I update every video, I will come back to this video and the ones that follow it and say, such and such updated with more info, see video here, just so it's like a moving body of work. We are also putting all of this basic info, so it'll be the brand, the type of retinol, the percentage, and then I'm going to see how much more info you need, into a Google document. Hurrah! That is ongoing, but I'm not going to make that available until I've finished all the videos for obvious reasons. I will always slip into the generic retinols. So for the person who commented, I don't know when it was, recently and said, first of all, you should be calling them vitamin A. I know that, and I think everyone watching that knows that. The name has become retinol. However, it's like in England we would say, where's the Hoover when you mean a vacuum cleaner? Where's the Q-tip when you mean a cotton bud? Retinol has become the all-encompassing. However, it has now become very important to me to use the correct terminology because I cannot tell you the amount of mislabeling we have come across. And I feel comfortable telling you this because we went into it completely green, completely, let's just talk about retinols. None of it was to try and catch people out. What we've ended with is bloody hell. A lot of us going, wait, what? They said it was this percentage and it's actually what? They said it was this and it's what? The original documents that I sent out, I sent about 25 originally, were all evaluated by a cosmetic scientist and a bioengineer because I didn't want it to be just about me. Because I also wanted to see if I was on the right track with my thinking. I wanted them to correct my thinking if anything if I was just wrong. Always open to learning more. But there has been some eye-opening revelations. First of all, out of nearly 50 products, we only have 2 claiming to have done a clinical trial, and I still don't have the evidence. I know one of them will come through with the evidence. I'll talk about that when I talk about that product. And one of them, we only just realised in small print, they said, we did a clinical trial. So we have gone back to them and said, can you please send us either the data or where you did it, or just so we have something that I can say to you, these two did clinical trials. Out of every single, and both of those are small individual brands, they're not big corporate. The Lauder Group, Unilever Group, L'Oreal Group, not one clinical trial amongst them. They all came back with retinol, just the retinol, not the other variations. Retinol has been widely shown during clinical trials to have done blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I know that. I want to know what it does when it's in your formula. So that was my first, wow, okay. So they're really just putting it in there and just saying it'll do this and this based on the fact that it has done it on its own during a clinical trial somewhere else another time. That was the first big thing. And it became a bit of a running joke, but it very privately in the small group, we go, clinical trial, no. The other thing is, when I'm talking about the different variations of the retinols, you will be able to find a chart on the blog, and I will link to that below too, which will show you where you start with the retinoic acid, and then you come down through all the variations until you get to the esters, which are invariably at the bottom. And that will give you an idea as to why I'm starting. I'm starting here, and we're going to work our way up here. I'm not saying that my word is set in stone. I'm not saying it's going to be 100% correct. I've got to the point where we all said, if I do not start filming this, it's never going to happen, because we're chasing every single week. And when I've only been in the office like 2 or 3 days at the most in the recent weeks because I'm doing events and things. And I come in and go, oh, well, who have we heard from? And it would be like so-and-so, but we had to go back about this, or we had to go back about that. So where I know the brand and I know the people, I would just call them. Like, I've just phoned Jordan Samuel because I left his retinol at home and I wanted to make sure it shouldn't be in this group. It's fine. And he said, oh, it's blah, 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 told me. Da, da. Okay, great, fine. That kind of thing works perfectly. Some brands were completely open. Some brands told me they couldn't tell me because I'm not a doctor and it can only be spoken about because it's cosmeceutical. It should be sold by a doctor. Cosmeceutical means jack shit in the UK, mate. So sorry, you go on the next pile. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm starting with mild beginner retinols, or ones that shouldn't cause you any irritation or reaction. It is not a reflection on the strength of the percentage in the formula. It is a reflection on how it's delivered, how it's buffered, how it felt on the skin, and complete disclosure. We have not, obviously, I don't have a team of 50 people. We have not tested all of them on our skin overnight for days and days and days. We've tested where we can, and we've tested formulations, and we've tested on hands, purely to be able to tell you how they feel on the skin, and who, for me, to be able to tell you who shouldn't use which product. Because with a retinol, a vitamin A, a retinoate, the traffic, you know what you're getting, you know what the result is going to be. What changes it is the percentage it's at the formula and what formula it is in. So I recognise there'll be a lot of questions. I sense this is going to be ongoing. What we've decided to do is I'll do this one. The next one is 0.3 to 0.4, or like intermediate, I'm calling it, and then we'll do the stronger ones. I think I'm going to do 2 for the stronger ones. And then I'm going to do an ongoing retinol video. So every time I have 5 retinols in the shop, in the office, I'll do a new video. I hope that makes sense. As I say, I'm going to try and put it all into much more concise form into a Google Doc, but I know a lot of you are like, okay, I just want somewhere to start. So this is starter retinols, and it does not reflect the efficacy of the formula. Some of them I've been recommending for years, they're amazing. It does not mean they don't work. I mean, when I say it's a starter or a beginner, it just means you should be safe to have no irritation. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't, and also equally, it doesn't mean you're going to get irritated if you use one that I film in 2 weeks. I'll try and be specific where I can. I have a lot of notes, people. If I tell you I've been carrying around a file like this, I showed one of the girls, I did an event for Clarence yesterday in Sheffield, and they said, when are you going to do your retinol? I said, I travel with it. It's all I think about, and the pile is this thick. Because every time we get a new note, we staple it to it, we write the date when they updated it. I mean, it's been intense. Let us begin. Okay. Most of these, a few of them have pure retinol. Most of these, and some of the confusion that I have had, not from me, but questions I've had from you guys, is this says it's gram-active retinoid. This says it's hydroxypenocolone retinoate. What is it? They're the same thing. The hydroxy version, hydroxypenocolone retinoate, was made by a company called Gran Industries. They own the formula, they own the patent. It's called Gran Active Retinoid. It sits kind of just off retinoic acid. When it's in an oil formula, you can put it in at really high percentages, which a lot of brands do. The problem is a lot of them then say, this is 6%, this is 5%, but it's not, because it's in an oil formula, and when you actually come to dive down deep, what that means is it's actually going to deliver 0.5% to your skin. Now, if we were confused, knowing what we know and having the access to the people that I have access to, I can't begin to imagine how confusing it is for you at home if you're just dipping your toe in the water. So if you're just dipping your toe in the water, let's start easy. I'm going to give you some different options. There's a variation of pricing. When I'm talking about one I think is too expensive, I'm just going to say openly, I think this is too expensive for what it is. And then at the very, very end, if we ever get there, I'll do like a top 5. But the top 5 will be based across a whole spectrum of how they present their brand and their formula. Are they being truthful? And I mean that quite literally. What's the price point for what is in it? Has it been proven to deliver good results? Do they do clinical trials? So it won't be based on, oh, these are the 3 I get on with. It has to be a much bigger picture. These are in no particular order, but as it begins with A, I'm going to start with A. This is Alpha H, vitamin A 0.5. Now, this is 0.5. It just says 0.5, vitamin A 0.5. They don't call it a retinol, they call it vitamin A. Perfection, because it's 2 types. It is 0.25 retinol and 0.25 of an ester, retinol propionate, which is an ester. So that takes longer to work, but it's more gentle. It means that you could happily use this. I'm not going to demo all of them, by the way, because we'd be here forever, but you could happily use this serum. You would get a good result. The fact that the 0.25 of retinol propionate is an ester means it probably brings it down. You may well be looking at a 0.3 across the board. It might deliver 0.3 to the skin. Alpha H gave me their info, no problems asked, loved them. All prices will be below because I'm aware that they'll be different in different countries, so I'll do what I can. But like I say, the information we've had to it's been like Encyclopedia Retinanica. So we'll start with that. All skin types, no one's really contraindicate, nice place to start, nice work, well done Alpha H. Garden of Wisdom, Gran Active Retinoid 5% serum, affordable. This is 1 ounce, which, forgive me if I'm wrong, I don't know what that is in millage. I can't remember, you'd think I'd know. I'll remember, hang on. Brain fart. 25 mils is 0.85 fluid ounces, so it's probably a 30 mil. Well done. Gran Active Retinoid 5% serum. Now, Gran Active at 5% in an oil base, in a serum base, brings it out. It actually delivers a 0.5 to the skin. That is why this, and I don't have the ordinary, but the ordinary that's 5% in squalane, they're labelled as 5%. What you're looking at is 0.5 delivered into the skin. However, I've put them in the beginning section because they're, these formulas are really gentle. Being in an oil immediately makes them more gentle. Being in an oil should not let you be put off if you have acne, because retinol is designed, vitamin A, I keep saying vitamin A, was originally founded as a retinoic acid to aid acne. So if you have acne and that is your main concern, you can use any of these. Don't be put off by them being in oil. So that's Garden of Wisdom. Luna, from one price extreme to the other. Luna, Sleeping Night Oil, Sunday Riley. This came in without a percentage on it. To be fair, I don't think I went back and asked them again, but I will. But this is hydroxypenocolone retinoate. Now, the other thing I want to show you before we go too far down the line, I've got the box for this and I've got a few other boxes, is I don't have the packaging for this one either. So I checked the website and it is high enough up the inci list that I don't feel I need to flag anything. It's a proper retinol oil. Again, it's the Gran Active, it's retinoate, it's in oils, as you know, if you know Luna, it looks like this. Very pleasant to use, lovely. You will get, I haven't spoken to anyone at any event who's had any problem with this? If you have, by all means, let's make the comments a discussion, not a row. But this is labelled as retinol, but my understanding is it's actually gram-active retinol. So it's hydroxyphenolone retinoate. So it's, again, not supremely clear, but they were very forthcoming in answering the questions. You can see why we've been like... I also want to flag something up. The first thing you need to do as a consumer, we only did it recently where I thought, hang on a minute, where's the inci? Check the box. There were some brands that came in and I was like, I don't remember seeing that. That doesn't ring a bell. Or Louise would go, but that didn't say that on that box. What did that label say? And we would compare the information we'd been sent, the front of pack on the main packaging. So for example, I'll use this, but it wasn't Luna. And then we'd get the box and go down the inci list, which, don't forget, has to be in order of strength of ingredients. And the vitamin A product would be in the toilet in terms of percentages. And a couple I binned and said, that's not even that's a preservative level. I'm not even going to talk about it being a treatment level. I didn't actually bin them, I just mean I didn't put them forward to you. So here's an example, Alpha H. Alpha H inci list, I've underlined it in blue so just so you can see what we're working with. Aquaglycerin, retinol is right here, and retinol propionate is right here. They are both high enough up the list. It's a concise inci list, which is what you really want in a retinol product, in a vitamin A product. You don't really need an inci list that's this high because we know how it works. It works well when it's delivered with for maximum results with minimum faff. You'll never hear anything more technological than that from me. So read the boxes. Look at what they're telling you, but do not forget to turn the box over and look at the ingredients list. You're looking for any of the words you'll see on the blog. It won't say trans-retinoic acid because that is prescription strength. It will say retinol, it will say hydroxyphenolone retinoate, it will say retinol palmitate, retinol propionate, that they're all listed. The further down the list they are, in general, the less irritating that formula is going to be, or the weaker that formula is going to be. And the reason it's taken us so long to try and collect the bloody information is because every single formula is so different. Indeed Labs, retinol reface. Again, this one I recommend as a really good starter retinol because it is in a nice cream formula. It's a nice stable formula. I don't know many people who've reacted to it. A lot of people tend to use it and say, I don't really feel like it's doing anything. That's not a bad thing with a vitamin A product. If you want to just go about your life day to day, it will work. Like, you remember if I did the Avon, the double-sided Avon a couple of years ago, the research they showed probably still stands in terms of you can, well, I don't know why I say probably, it does. You can use something gently like this and you'll get a good result, but it will take you much longer to get there. I always do like, what am I doing? I'm dabbing. Whereas if you use something really strong, it will do it like this, but you'll get the reaction on the skin. So this, retinol reface, that's how it's positioned. It came back with them saying it was a rapid action retinol at 1%. It's not really. It's gram-active retinol, aka hydroxyphenolone retinol, and actual retinol. So just say it on the packaging. There's nothing on this pack there's nothing in this product that couldn't be discussed fully and openly. It's purely that a lot of brands feel like they have to reword vitamin A into other things. You don't. Just tell the consumer what they want, what they're going to get if they buy your product. So it's retinol reface. Here's your inci. It starts here. I don't know if you can see it. Comes down here, and then you've got hydroxyphenolone retinoate, aka gram-active retinoid, and then retinol, and they are both, I'm just checking, they're both way before the phenoxy. Now the phenoxyethanol is what you're looking for as your guide of what's 1%. It's not a perfect science. Basically you can have ingredient, but if you know how much of it is a maximum you can have of something in a product, it generally shows you that everything above that is at a high percentage, just simple maths. Phenoxy, as we call it for short, so it's usually at the very, very bottom. Phenoxyethanol is at the very bottom here. but I suspect a lot of these are in around that. You would never use point above 0.9. It's always under 1%. So I don't want to get too confusing, but essentially, when you see that around that area, you're looking at 1%. If it's above it, it might be much more than 1%, and if it's below it, it definitely is less than 1%. And I'm very much talking about UK packaging specifically. So the fact that that's here and the retinols are here is a good sign. And they were very open in terms of saying, all in all, the formula was a 1%, but I reckon the fact, and again, I reckon because I have to reckon because there's no clinical trial, and I'm just trying to be as honest as I can. I think what you're going to be looking at is around a 0.3 based on here. So even if they're saying it's 1% added together, if half of that 1% is 0.5 of hydroxypenocolone retinoate, that probably delivers further down the line to like a 0.3. And I know I've lost you. Some of you are probably shouting at me going, you can't do math, you're doing it wrong. Maybe I am. All I'm telling you is you don't need to be afraid of this product. It's great, it works. I would like a bit more info on the pack. That's all. That's all. Meramia. Meramia is retinol palmitate. It is cream formulation. Looks like, oh, we didn't prep this for QVC, did we? Hang on. So it's a lovely cream formulation like that. Now this is retinol palmitate. Retinol palmitate is generally seen as a starter vitamin A. In the wrong formulation, it can be quite irritating. It's an exfoliant to all intents and purposes. Yes, it does work as a traditional vitamin A, but it takes one of the longest roads to get there. The Meramia, if you like Meramia, you'll know the range. You'll know that it is designed to be gentle but efficacious. It's affordable. It is definitely in there at less than 1% because we can tell that from the inci list. So again, if you want to sort of starter affordable, it's a nice place to go. But as I say, it's down here in terms of, whereas this has actual retinol in it, and these are retinol and hydroxypenocolone. So it's a good one, a good starter one. But if you have been using a really strong vitamin A for a long time, you're not going to see any results from this. It's a good place to start if you're scared. Another good place to start if you're scared are these two, and I've recommended them endlessly. Pestle and Mortar and Votary. Now the Pestle and Mortar is retinol palmitate and Gran Active, aka hydroxypenocolone. I'm going to be saying these words in my sleep. And the Votary is hydroxypenocolone. Again, no percentage here, no percentage here. But looking at where they sit on the inci list again, and I'm going to show you, not that I'm obsessed. So this is Votary. We start here, you come all the way down, and at the very bottom you'll see things like linalool and the derivatives citronelle, which are the derivatives of flower fragrances, oil fragrances, natural fragrances. The words are coming. The retinol content is bang in the middle. So it's tocopherol, which is vitamin E, which is good because that works really well synergistically with a vitamin A. And then hydroxypenocolone, retinoate, right bang in the middle. So you're going to get a good percentage, and it's a beautiful product to use. It's on the pricier side, so if you love Votary and you already know the brand, then it's going to be a no-brainer for you. I can use this with zero problem and could do happily before I started the heavy duty shiz. But this and this and this and this are all similar in terms of ingredients. Let me just show you Pestle and Mortar. Pestle and Mortar here, grapeseed oil, jojoba oil, and then right bang in the middle we have hydroxypenocolone retinoate, and then straight after it retinol palmitate. It's about a third of the way down, it's above halfway. So Pestle and Mortar Superstar gets a big thumbs up from me. It's also affordable. Clearly it's not as affordable as Garden of Wisdom, so if you're on a budget you go here, but it's nowhere near the most expensive product we've had through the door, let me tell you now. Similar to the Meramia, Suzanne Kaufman, Nutrient Concentrate Skin Smoothing. It's a strange one for me. I'm not completely on aware and haven't completely trained in this brand yet, so bear with. But they did fill out the info, so fair play to them. This is retinol palmitate, and it's low on the ingredients list, to the point where I was concerned that it might be in there much more, almost as like an antioxidant level. I apologise fully if that's not the case to the brand, but you've got water, propylene glycol, calendula flower extract, sodium hyaluronate, so it's a nice serum to start with, and then you get retinol palmitate, vitamin E comes after, glycerin comes after, and a lot of other ingredients. So it's actually not a massive ingredients list, which I always like, and it feels beautiful on the skin. So if you want, again, somewhere gentle to start, you can get Suzanne Kaufman happily, readily near you. I would say try this. It feels really beautiful on the skin. One of the nicer ones in terms of texture, which is very important. If you don't like how it feels and you don't like how it smells, it doesn't really smell, you're not going to use it. I'm going to touch on this one because it's one of the ones I'm asked the most about, and it was a source of frustration for me. Beauty Pie, super retinol range, anti-aging face serum. I've also bought in the night renewal moisturizer. These are both retinol. I just want to show you something though. We couldn't get percentages from Beauty Pie. I offered a kidney, nothing. Marcia might well watch this and go, oh, I'll tell you, babe, but maybe they don't know. I don't know. If you know the Beauty Pie model, you'll know how it works. They buy direct from the lab. You have to join their beauty club and then you get to buy it at a discounted rate. The serum, all the ingredients are here. You start here, the retinol is down here. So it's pushing near the end. It's not right down near the ones where I know it's less than 1%, it's above it. However, when you see everything else it's surrounded by, it's, oh no, oh, it is underneath the 1% and it's a lot further down, but it is retinol. It's not a derivative, so it's pretty high up in terms of the stages of the retinol. It's climbing the bus. So the serum is the one I would go for because the moisturizer is, here's the ingredients, the retinol is here. Here's the thing, if you love Beauty Pie, you're gonna love these products. It's a good retinol, it works. All of these, by the way, have pretty solid encapsulation. If you, I'll double up on that in a minute, but yeah, this is a really nice retinol. It works, I've used it before, it works well. You've seen the eye cream is great. So again, nice and gentle. Calling it super retinol, I think might put people off because it's not super retinol. It's a good all-round retinol. You could use this to tide you over in between stronger ones. You could start with it, and being Beauty Pie, it's affordable. So the naming for me was a bit like, calm down, mate. A brief word on encapsulation before I'm here for 4 hours. I've got one left and then I'm gonna sort of start planning the next one. Don't worry too much about the retinol being exposed or the retinol going off, because I promise you, if it's in packaging like this, it is encapsulated, which means it's protected. You're fine. A lot of packaging, like, and I don't know for sure, I'm just using these as examples, like this, sometimes it's not encapsulated, and that's why the packaging is airtight. But there is a difference. So for example, the retinol from Estee Lauder, which will be in the next group, is a 0.3. It's not encapsulated, but it's in solid packaging that keeps it from going off, keeps it from oxidizing. So encapsulation is one thing, and that will also help with the delivery system of how it gets onto your skin. But in terms of when people say, oh, but it's not in an airtight container, if the retinol is encapsulated, the formula should hold true. If they did a clinical trial, we'd know, but don't get me started. Retinol Fusion PM, this is Peter Thomas Roth. Now this is one of the ones where they said they did a clinical trial. Now this says it's 1.5, fair play. It is a retinol, we checked the packaging. It's a good short inky list. You've got squalane, water, retinol, and then you've got again vitamin E, which is pretty common. You'll always see that in a retinol product. Maximum results 1.5 micro encapsulated, and that's again, that means being in this formula, it's not a problem. I always remember Brandon in his DECIEM days holding up something, and I think it was their vitamin C, and I said, dude, how is it being secure? And he was literally pumping it, going, I can put as much air in here as I like because it's microencapsulated, it's fine. So this one, although it's a 1.5, it's in a runny, I call it a runny oily water base. So I've put it into the gentle ones, but in terms of all of these, should have really got some tissue. In terms of all of these, this one's probably the stronger of the group. If you can get PTR where you are, maybe play with it. If you're in a Sephora, for example, in the US, in the UK, you're going to be looking at, I think, Selfridges. But I liked the inci list. It was short. I liked that they were very clear. They said we're 1.5% microencapsulated retinol. You read the ingredients list and it says retinol. It doesn't say retinol, and on the back you look at it and actually it's a derivative. So out of this group, this is sort of in the top purely for, and I haven't tested it relentlessly on my face, so I can't tell you about it actually working on skin, which you would think I would normally do, but for this, it's like, it's all trial and error. But in terms of, it was labelled well, they fed the information back. If they do come back and say, because I said, do you have any clinical trials? In a 1-week clinical trial of 35 subjects. Now I went back and said, that sounds like a study. Normally a clinical trial goes on for a bit longer. Could you confirm? It would be great if it's a trial. If it's a study, I just need to know so I give the right information. They haven't come back yet, but we only realised that, as I say, recently. So nice work, Peter Thomas Roth. I like the labelling. I like the openness. They came back straight away. I think this is a good product that could be more appropriately named. What I love is Marcia is adamant that, she's obsessed with this retinol and it does work. I just don't think it's quite as gung-ho as perhaps has been led, they would like you to think it is, if I'm being honest. But all of these, Indeed Labs, Pestle and Mortar, you've seen me recommend these relentlessly. Luna, Votary, Merrimaya if you want a really gentle place to start. Alpha H again, 0.5, but they were the first to come back and go, actually it's 0.25 of this and 0.25 of that, top marks. And I like that the inci list isn't huge and the retinol is really near the top. Garden of Wisdom, Grand active retinoid at 5% in the serum, which actually means it delivers 0.5 to the skin. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I don't think for a second that these guys intend to mislead. I just think when you can put it at grand active retinoid at 5%, they're not lying at all. It is 5%. The problem is it makes you think, oh, that's really strong. I must be careful. But when you use this, you'll find it's super gentle because it's actually 0.5 of something in an oil base. So it's going to be easier on your face. And then the Suzanne Kaufmann, again, I'm personally unsure of the strength of the vitamin A in it, but it feels like a beautiful serum. So I hope I'm not as confusing as we have been for the last at least 2 months, because we still are a bit confused, if I'm honest, in terms of everything that's available. That is a good place to start if you wanted, okay, what if I go here? If I haven't mentioned something I previously recommended to you, it does not mean it didn't make the grade. It might be in one of the later videos. It might mean we didn't get the information back. It might literally be that I don't have it to hand and we're already dealing with so many that it will come in a later video. Feel free to ask. I'm always happy to say, change my mind about that, or, oh no, I love that. Good call. I'll add that to the next video. Hope that was a little bit helpful. I sense I'm going to be explaining still a lot purely because of my delivery, not because you can't understand it. Any questions about which strength is which, go straight to the blog, hit the retinol cheat sheet just to see where they sit, and then you'll be able to see, okay, so if our starting point, if we go 1 to 5 and our starting point is 5 to get to 1, but to go through to 1, you have to do it in oil. That's going to take it even longer, and that pulls you down here. And that's why I'm saying a few of them will be really, really mild on the skin. They will work, they will give you a nice glow, but without a clinical trial, we'll never know how deep they actually work on the skin. So I don't know what else to tell you people. I'm going to go and have a large cup of tea and see if this makes any sense when I watch it back. I will see you next week for the 0.3 to 0.4-ish group. Again, that's an ish because a few of them we've had to do guesswork. Bye.